I'm in Oaxaca City in the state of Oaxaca, Mexico. And if you know anything about my website, you know I write about prepping, I write about tactical travel, and I write about things like how to survive the zombie apocalypse. And that's the subject of this video. How, if you are a tourist in Oaxaca City and the worst happens, a zombie apocalypse hits, what are you going to do to survive this place? Oaxaca City, or simply Oaxaca, is the largest city in the state of Oaxaca and located in the foothills of the Sierra Madre Mountains. It has a population of around 700,000 people. It was occupied by the Aztecs from the 15th century. It has a tropical savanna climate bordering on humid subtropical because of its high altitude. During the dry season, temps during the day average around 80 degrees Fahrenheit and average around 90 degrees in April before the wet season. The city is heavily reliant on tourism and it's considered to be Mexico's culinary capital. Ironically, Oaxaca City is the place to be in Mexico for celebrating Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead. Signs of the city's obsession with the dead, or undead, can be found throughout the city. It's almost as if the city is expecting the zombie apocalypse to strike. Fitting that my first zombie apocalypse survival video takes place here. The city's buildings, like much of Mexico's buildings, appear ready for zombies and raiders as well. Razor and barbed wire cover the tops of many walls. Those walls are tall and conceal what's behind them. Windows are barred. When zombies wander the street, it would be easy to lock yourself inside. So, what are some of the places you want to avoid here? Well, any of these city centers like this is going to be totally infested with zombies. See all these? Zombies, zombies, zombies. It's all going to be total zombie mayhem. Everyone running for their lives. The other area you certainly want to avoid is Mercado Pinedo Juarez, or Benito Juarez Market. Here I am following my wife around the market on the hunt for lunch and souvenirs. It's a huge market, and if you're ever visiting Oaxaca City, it's a must-see destination. It would also be a great spot to go raiding for food and supplies in a collapse. You could find vegetables, bread, meat, fish, and the local delicacy, chapulines, or grasshoppers. But the market would also be a great place to die. The market is essentially a maze with very narrow aisles. The undead could pop out around any corner and turn you into dinner. So what's one of the safest spots in the center of Oaxaca City in a zombie apocalypse? It's actually right behind me. This is Santo Domingo Church. It's also home to the Cultural Museum and the Botanical Garden. It's walled all the way around, making it a very protective area. It's got bell towers on the top, plenty of lookouts. I'll actually show you a look inside. Let's go. This botanical garden was founded in 1994. The area covers roughly 6 acres of space, giving you plenty of room to build a survival garden safely within its walls. It has a history that predates the garden, however. Construction of the building began in the 1570s as a Dominican monastery. Dominican friars lived there in 1608. They used the open space for bathing and washing until they were expelled in the early 1860s. That's when the federal government took over the complex and turned it into a military base. I told you it's defensible. The military used it for practice, to park vehicles, and so on. Doorways and stairwells can even be blocked off within the compound, so if the walls were somehow breached, you have secondary defenses. Today, this place is home to diverse plants, some of which are already producing fruit and berries. In a collapse, the non-productive plants could be ripped up and replaced with food-producing plants. You just need to make sure to retain some of the native gardeners who know the plants and the climate. They will be key to helping you survive. That, of course, is going to be your biggest challenge in surviving Oaxaca City in a zombie apocalypse. Convincing locals to let you into their homes and networks. Building a community as an outsider. Can you speak basic Spanish? Do you have skills to offer? If not, chances are high these locals might kick you outside and let you face the streets of undead. If you have something to offer and you're lucky, you might find a new Mexican family to live out the collapse with. So, if you're stuck in the center of Oaxaca, this is the building to occupy. In fact, there are many buildings like that. Old churches here are built for defense. The walls are really high. You can close them off with heavy doors. This city is more defensible than you might think in a zombie apocalypse. But what are you going to eat? Growing plants is one thing, but that takes time. Fortunately, as I mentioned, Oaxaca is the culinary capital of Mexico. You could raid street vendors. You could ransack panaderias or bakeries. Looking more creatively, You'll also find food in the form of birds and decorative fish. Mexico is full of dogs, so they can serve you well too, either by sniffing out the zombies, alerting you, or, in a pinch, even feeding you. Water might be a bigger challenge in the city center. Tap water is always questionable to drink in Mexico. Potable water is instead brought in by vehicle and pumped into holding tanks. Look to the rooftops where water tanks are kept, where they can heat up in the sun and be gravity fed to the building's floors below. A more immediate question you might be confronted with is, how are you going to defend yourself? Wondering what the gun laws are here in Mexico? Strict. There's only one gun store for civilians in the entire country, and it's in Mexico City on a military base. It's not easy to get to. In order to even enter the door, you need to have a background check. Mexican citizens are allowed to own 10 total firearms, 9 long guns, 1 handgun. Owning a gun and carrying one is actually 2 different things. If you even want to carry a gun, you need a license, and you need to demonstrate a need in order to carry that. Otherwise, they need to be kept in your home. You can keep it in your business only if your home is your business. All firearms must be registered, and in order to even buy ammunition, you can only buy ammunition for the guns for which you have registered. Citizens can't sell guns unless they are approved to do so, and then they need to show up in person with the buyer. So if you're hoping firearms will be your way through the zombie apocalypse here, you should probably think again, because you're otherwise going to need to find security forces, military, private security, that sort of thing. Even if you did have some firearms, they're only going to serve you so well in the city. Kicking rounds off here is only going to attract more and more hordes of zombies. So this begs the question, what kind of weapons can you use to slay these zombies? Well, you do have options here. You can find some machetes. If you happen to cross some roadside vendors or look in residential sheds and garages. You can also use a lot of rebar. Rebar's prevalent here everywhere. You could outfit an army with the amount of rebar here. It's perfect for puncturing skulls. Oaxaca is also known for its mezcal. With high enough proof, you could pour this onto zombies and incinerate them. Now, transportation. How are you going to get around the city? Most people walk, and in a collapse, you will most likely be walking fast, or, more likely, running. Running through the streets is dangerous, though. It's a good way to end up dead. If you're in a neighborhood when the outbreak happens, you'll have an opportunity here to actually cross buildings over rooftops. You can see that there are some ladders over here, and there's one over here. So all of these homes over here, they've all got bars on the doors and on the windows. So locking out zombies is an option, locking zombies in is an option, and then moving across rooftops to avoid the streets. Cars and trucks will be good to get out of the initial wave, but only if you're lucky enough to act exceptionally fast, because the streets would quickly become clogged with vehicles, providing a mobile buffet for the undead. Bicycles in this case would be better. Good news, there are many bicycles around the city. People ride them everywhere. See this group as an example. They could be escaping the city as an elite Bravo bicycle team. Look at them all. Even better than bicycles would be motorcycles and motorbikes. Grab one if you can. What about medical care? You'll certainly want to avoid hospitals in a zombie apocalypse, but you might need crucial medications. Fortunately, there are many clinics, dentists, and pharmacias located around the city that stock prescription drugs, including antibiotics. Act fast to secure some. So if you're fortunate enough to make it out of El Centro, your best bet for longer-term survival in the apocalypse is to make your way up into the hills, into the Moberio area. You've got the same benefit of sealed off houses and neighborhoods, bars on windows, so you can protect yourself at night and during the day, but you also have the added benefit of food production in this area. There's a lot more gardens in behind homes, smaller population density, and sometimes a much better water supply. And that's the biggest advantage to this town, St. Augustine Etla. It's located up in the hills, but best of all is its water supply. The town has plenty of fresh water. So much so that it has an aqueduct that dates back to the 1800s. The water flows year-round. People are friendly, the buildings are equipped for security, and there are plenty of dogs here as well. You know, security and food. All of these hills up in here, these neighborhoods, are all going to be better areas for longer-term apocalypse survival here. You can get out of the city, which is further down this way. You've got residential areas and gardens behind homes, better water sources, vegetation, and then again you've got churches like this one that are just compounds ready to be used. The only challenge here is there's going to be a lot of families, and you need to have an inn somehow. Signs of survivors are already evident here, as witnessed by this line of face masks drying in the breeze. You know, there might be an even better place to survive in the state of Oaxaca. head to the coast. We did it. We survived the zombie apocalypse in Oaxaca City. And we jumped on a small plane, landed here in Puerto Escondido, surf town. And if you're interested in how to survive, continue that zombie survival situation in this surf town, check the next video.